Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to another episode of Post-Conference Presser for Anfield Index. It's Friday, the 7th of March. Arne Slot was up early, not quite as early as he normally is. It was 10 rather than the standard 9 this morning for his press conference at the AXA. We'll run through the normal as we do. We'll talk about the questions and answers Arne Slot gave. We'll talk about the clues from that breathe easy game against PSG. We'll talk about the threat Southampton bring. Don't laugh too much. Always be respectful of Premier League opposition. And we'll think about the lineup, score, and scorers. Now, I'm your normal host, Dave Davis, coming to you from a lying Edinburgh because the sun is out, but it is windy and cold. So the sun is talking nonsense at the moment. Hopefully, wherever you are, it is a fair bit nicer. But let's get right into it because it's an interesting game, this one, isn't it? This Southampton game. Some people are seeing it as the easy, the perfect sandwich between the two PSG legs that way. However you see it, if we're deadly honest, and Arne Slot's not buying into this for 1 second, by the way. He's got them fully focused. You could tell this in his press conference. It's top versus bottom in the Premier League. But as ever, let's have a look at the key quotes, what Arne Slot said in the press conference. So the first thing he was really asked about was Alisson Becker and said, what sets him aside from other goalkeepers? And with a wry smile, he said, saving shots. To become the best goalkeeper in the world, you have to make saves others wouldn't made. I think he had a few of them on Wednesday. He did also mention, as per the reporting, people are exaggerating, saying there was 27 shots. He didn't face that. He was clear, he said that specifically. He didn't face 27, I don't think, but it was a brilliant performance from Alisson. Sensational, wasn't it, really? I mean, said it on the pod yesterday with David Lynch, and I'm still even thinking right now, can you think of a better goalkeeping performance? I mean, this one, for me, far out trumps that Courtois one in the final against us that time. But you think also with the great performances from goalkeepers, maybe level in things like Alisson against Napoli. Do you remember that save from Milik, I think it was, late on? But just in terms of an individual performance, there are none better. And the thing I like about this, and this is really punctuated this season, at key times, the elite men have stepped forward time and time again. Salah, 99% of the season, he's been there, hasn't he, doing elite things. Same with Virgil van Dijk. Alisson, when the moment's needed in a huge game, elite players step up that way. So, yeah, it was good to see that he was getting a bit of focus in the press conference. Arne Slot was also asked about the PSG result, and, we're lucky in that regard. He said we were not a little bit lucky. We were very, very, very lucky. But as Michael Jordan once said, the harder you work, the bigger luck you have. It's that old famous Gary Player expression, isn't there? The more I practice, the luckier I get. And Liverpool, and he mentioned this as well in the press conference, they worked incredibly hard. And he mentioned, which is true in the second half, we did control them better. I actually referenced that, the XG was a 0.44, wasn't it, in the second half? So there was a marked difference, especially with the substitutes. He called that out. And he also, which I like, expanded on this with the Real Madrid reference that we've got a lot of discredit, or people attacking us a little bit. I'm sure you've seen things like the Dougie Critchley tweet about, Liverpool fans should be alarmed in that. As Arne Slot mentioned in this press conference, Real Madrid do this type of thing all the time. Yes, they can blow teams away at the Bernabeu like Liverpool can at Anfield, but sometimes they ride their luck. We've seen them well and truly on the ropes in certain games. We've put them on the ropes in certain games, but time and time Real Madrid come back, and it's almost praised as a quality, isn't it, how good they are? Not for us, though, for some reason. So there you go. But yeah, I like what he said there. Now, the Mo Salah conversation in this, and Arne Slot actually punctuated this at the start, saying, this is not a headline. I don't think Mo Salah was happy that I took him off, looking at his body language. He can always score a goal. That is why I rarely take him off. His behaviour was fine. He shook hands, but he probably felt if we get a chance, then he would score. Of course he did. It's Mo Salah. We know Mo Salah is on a different level to most players. In the Premier League, in the Champions League, we are talking the Ballon d'Or favourite. Let's be crystal clear on that. Our player of the season, and that's even despite Van Dijk being from another world. Salah's maybe from another planet completely. People just don't learn, do they? They really don't. The amount of people I've seen sort of ragging on him. Was he good in Paris? No. Were the team good in Paris? No. He wasn't alone in that. But just for some reason, maybe it is because the standards are so high for Mo Salah. You see people really ragging on it, don't you, and having a go. I tell you what, I might be wrong, but I hope Southampton feel a bit of a backlash with that. We will have to see. And Arne Slot did talk about Southampton. He set this stall out clearly, as he put here. He sees Southampton as the first of 3 cup finals. And he actually said, I'm hoping the whole stadium is completely full 30 minutes before kickoff. Let's hear them before the game with 3 finals ahead. There's nothing in Arne Slot's brain this is the easier one in between those 2 difficult legs. There's nothing in Arne Slot's brain like on anything else bar Southampton. There's no one picking my team with one eye on PSG, which I don't mind, to be honest, because the easy mantra in football, isn't it? Game at a time. And we've talked about that on this pod. That is when it always works best for us. Things that aren't maybe the best for us, Cody Gakpo is touch and go, it seems, for tomorrow. Arne Slot did say it will be a close call. He didn't train yesterday. Now, he had come back and he obviously travelled to Paris for that game. However, it's worth pointing out, as Arne Slot had said, he blocked a ball in training and that re-aggravated the injury. It doesn't seem to be much because it is a close call, as he's putting it. So if he's not fit for this one, he should be fit, you'd expect, for the second leg at Anfield. And again, you can't always take things for granted. But if you're being honest, if you were maybe thinking of a game to rest key players or not take any risks with key players, I think Gakpo missing Southampton isn't something we particularly worried about. Then again, throw your comments in the chat panel. You may see it completely differently from me. This is a great one because he got asked if Liverpool have been lucky this season. Said, if you think injuries are only luck or bad luck, then we've been lucky. But we've tried to prevent them from a certain way of working so that we didn't have many injuries. I don't see this as luck. Again, they just don't learn, do they? The amount of people say, Liverpool have had all the luck. And listen, you've had the rub of the green this season. You cannot pretend anything differently in many situations. And you're looking ahead to things like, touch wood, the Carabao Cup final, aren't you? Newcastle's recent injury run. However, Newcastle are a great example. Eddie Howe regularly has players injured. A whole bunch of players because of the way he clearly trains, plays, all those type of things. That's just a fact. Look at the facts. Players we probably like as well, potentially, as we know. But someone like Eddie Howe has regular players injured. Arne Slot's record last season at Feyenoord with Ruben Peters, it's important to say, is part of the reason. It's not the only thing, I appreciate, but it was part of the reason why he's been picked as well for that easier transition. And we're seeing the benefits of his, I don't know, call it ethos, training style, all those types of things, however you want to label it. So it isn't lucky, it's by design. Yeah, maybe if Legohead and his followers weren't so determined on that, just ignoring all the facts on this, they might listen to a few things, but there you go. DK, they're saying in the comments, I'm jumping to conclusions here, but not happy. Sign the contract or go. Gotta be honest, DK, don't think it's anything like that whatsoever. Which elite player is ever happy at being taken off? And probably as we were all cheering and going absolutely insane and laughing our heads off when Harvey Elliott buries that, let's be honest, there was a part of Mo Salah, because he is that elite player, happy for Harvey, because he's like a little brother to him, but also thinking, I'd have buried that. And of course he would. Of course he would. So no, Arne Slot was key to say in this press conference as well, don't read too much into this. This isn't a headline. Those were his words. Only other two to really mention, he was asked about the goalkeeping situation and with Mamardashvili coming, the competition, will it fuel Alisson, etc. He said, yeah, he already has good competition though from Queeve. You always know at a club like Liverpool, you have competition in every position. You also have Yaros, who is an extremely talented goalkeeper. Alisson's the best in the world. Kelleher is in the top 5 or 6, I would say, goalkeepers in the Premier League. It astounds me he didn't get a move, especially when people were paying just shy of 30 million for players like Aaron Ramsdale. Absolutely astounds me. Yaros, we've only seen him at Palace, but he made a big save, didn't he? He looks quite calm and relaxed. He made a couple of big saves. Let me just be clear on this. So, yeah, and I think it is a great collection. David Lynch did say there is a bit of a question mark around Alisson this summer. He is 32. He will have 2 years left to go. Yes, he's the best goalkeeper in the world. Yes, we are desperate for him to stay, but those Saudi links are not going away. And if there is a chance of him departing, many other of the major players in Europe will be in the mix. But I struggle to see maybe one of those, but it wouldn't surprise me longer term if that comes up with Alisson. But that is a question for the summer. The only final question I really wanted to pick out from the press conference, it didn't surprise me that's too strong. It's a brilliant question by Mo Stewart. And as Mo always does, shout out to my Mojo, put stats in his question. So as he actually confirmed, he was asking about Slot's thoughts on rotation. Only us and Nottingham Forest, I think, are the only team that have rotated fewer times, who really don't rotate much. And we've spoken about it a lot this season. I can't remember the exact stat that Mo threw into. It was a good question. And he posed it to Arne Slot. It didn't draw gasps in the press conference. That is too extreme. I'm not saying that. But you could tell there's a few journalists looking a bit surprised in there. He said, I see the advantage of playing mostly the same team, so they get to know each other in terms of how they play. In terms of rotating, I tend to do this with 14 or 15, not 20 or 25. That is an interesting one. And if you think of the Liverpool squad this season, most of us will know the strongest 11, but you've got the likes of Curtis Jones, I would probably say, makes the fourth midfielder. You've got the likes of Tsimikas, Gomez, the ones who could rotate in. So it is a sort of 14 or 15. The big question might be for a few of those players now, how do they see their future? I think we probably know the answer to some of those. But think as well about the likes of your Endos, your Elliots, your Chiesas even. They have got hardly any minimal minutes this season. I don't know if those players, if those agents listen to press conferences. We've no idea really. Only they'd be able to tell you. But if they have clocked that, and there is a decision for the likes of Harvey Elliott to make this summer or Chiesa to make this summer, as we know, that's not going to be one leaning towards the stay camp, is it? If you're honest, that's the manager, the head coach, saying out loud, clearly prefers to work with 14 and 15. And I get that. We've seen the evidence of that. It's taken Endo so long to start to earn any trust. And now he does come on for those sort of 15, 20 minutes, but it's taken practically all season to get there. Elliott, it felt more just to protect Mo Salah more than anything. And one thing that a few people have mentioned, which is right to call out as well, don't forget Mo's observing Ramadan, so that comes into the mix at the same time as well. I just wonder if your likes of Chiesa are thinking and listening to that, and whether you think he was going to go anyway, but your Elliott, all those squad players on the outside who maybe sit 16th, 17th, 18th are thinking, nah, I'm not going to get my chances here. There's nothing that indicates that. So we'll see what they make of that. It will be an interesting one to keep an eye on. And Ballers FC, someone said this before. It's not a bad shout. What it means, the core 15 players he trusts, and then the others have to earn his trust and prove they deserve to be in the first team. I had that chat with a pal this morning after this, but as I sort of retorted back with, Well, they've got to earn his. They've had a whole season, pretty much. We're in March. Let's be clear on that. He's seen them for a long time. As Arne Slot said, he's made the assessments on those players. And is there a real belief that maybe Elliot Chiesa, for instance, are now going to make him trust them in a month or two? And I know the argument could be, well, look at Harvey's goal against PSG. It's possible, but I personally am just struggling to see it. So that was the only other one I really wanted to call out. That was Arne Slot's Q&A. If you think back to the other night, absolutely insane. I'm still laughing about this game. No two ways about it in the Parc des Princes. 1-0, smash and grab, as they all called it, wasn't it? You know, it's just brilliant in so many ways. I mean, the clues we take from this is this team's got character, proper character. And the players who are 15th, 16th, 17th, etc. in those rankings make a big difference. Alisson's just elite. We've talked about him to death, and quite rightly, just insane how good Alisson was in this game. I still can't believe L'Équipe wouldn't award a 10 out of 10, but that's just L'Équipe, isn't it? When you look at the stats, I mean, we had less than 30% possession, yeah? We only won a third of the duels, or just under a third of the duels. They were beating us to everything. I think, as some people were saying at the time, they just look hungrier, more engaged than this. They ran us ragged at periods. We got a bit of I want to say a grip maybe in the second half, but they were on top for this game. And if you are deadly honest, if it was 2-0, say, at half time, you couldn't have complained. Alisson is the difference between the two. But the one thing it is, I think, important to call out from this game, all your second string, as in Harvey takes the credit. Darwin Núñez, the most composed man on the pitch. Most composed man on the pitch in that minute. Strange, isn't it, to say that, but very true. Endo, just the blunter, just cancels it all out. Yeah, it just so much to like about this game. And also, I've seen Luis Enrique saying we've proved we can do this, and you saw Luis Campos in the tunnel shouting at the referee like, get over it, mate. This is a whole different game at Anfield. Let's be crystal clear on this. The Parc des Princes is a fierce stadium. Their fans are passionate. That was their season. No two ways about it. But Anfield under the lights on Tuesday night, let's see if you boys carry that same swagger there. Completely different games. Few comments coming in as well. Helio Mata shouts him saying, but even if you trust some players in it or more players than others, you have the problem of fatigue and players getting used too much. A player that seems to feel this lately is Gravenberch, who started every match. Helio, not debating that at all. Completely agree with that. I would have liked to have seen a few where Grav was rested. No two ways about it. I think he really looks like he could do with it a game off or a rest, but it doesn't look like Slot is into it too much. And I also think, and this is not to diminish Endo in any way, just to be clear, I think Endo looks good because of how tired and bad Grav's starting to look. I just think he looks exhausted, as do a few others. So, yeah, I think fatigue and longer-term issues are a consideration, not debating that at all. I think that's fair as well, Ballers, about people say we can't defend. If you play a structure where you're low to mid-block, no one can get past us. Imagine we played like Arsenal. We will keep clean sheets every game. Yeah, we proved it. We went to the Etihad. 2-0. We went to the Parc des Princes, and yes, we need to keep a brilliance, but 2 clean sheets. It's funny, everyone ignores that Ballers FC, isn't it, in that regard? Yeah, so much to like. And even now, it's still funny while you see that mention. Eddie, power there. You've mentioned a paper I've not mentioned at all there, just to be crystal clear. So let's not bring any mention of that outlet into here. But Southampton, this game, I mean, you try not to be derogatory, dismissive or anything like that, but this is top versus bottom. And this is a team with only 9 points, scored 19, conceded 65. I mean, they are on for the record, let's just be crystal clear, as the worst team in Premier League history. That's just a fact, sounding Rafferish at the same time. I mean, we talk about their threats and we analyse them. Uh, if you think of players that I like the look of, Tyler Diblin is one, isn't he? I know people say he's only got 2 goals and he's in a struggle inside, but I think he's a real talent. I really do. Right wing, left foot in that regard. So, yeah, for me, absolutely one to keep an eye on. But I'm trying to think of when we played them last time, because it was 3-2, if you remember, wasn't it? Adam Armstrong got that goal, so people may reference that. But it was a different time of the season. And I actually think the confidence has just evaporated out of them completely. Me and Bart's looked at them the other night that they should actually have conceded 10 more goals. They should have conceded, according to Understat, 75 in the Premier League. I mean, you want to be respectful, but it's top versus bottom. Completely different teams. And yeah, as Hellion mentions there, they're the worst away team in general and in the Premier League. And yeah, I know people are going to start saying this as they are room for rotation. We'll get to my thoughts on the lineup shortly. Yeah, Ballers FC saying Diblin is brilliant, Kroos controls out of this world. I think he's the one, isn't he, when you look at their lineup, that when they go down, I was going to say if they go down, it's crazy, isn't it? When they go down, he's off. No two ways about it. Which then comes to us, doesn't it? And I suppose, what will the lineup score and scorers be? Now, for me, I don't think I'm going to get my wish, because ultimately, for me, it comes down to, if you can't rotate against, officially, as it stands, the worst Premier League team in history, when can you rotate? You also look at some of the players, the rotational elements, the players that have done well recently. Núñez has a good cameo. Elliott scores. Endo's been brilliant recently. I think Kiesa's locked in a cupboard or a dungeon somewhere, so maybe he's kicking about ready for this one. You could enforce so much rotation. You really could. And I think we'd still be red-hot favourites beyond belief to win. Now, part of me in my heart is saying that Arne Slot mentioned in the press conference about, I'll pick, if I do rotation, it'll be because I think it's the right team for the game, not with PSG in mind. He was quite clear on that. However, the fact he's talking about a cup final, I think you'll see some in this, but not as much as people will want. So I think it'll be naturally Alisson in nets, Trent at right back. I think Tsimikas will come in at left back just to rest Robbo ahead for the second leg, because he was terrorised quite a bit by Kavicha, Dembele when he went out there as well. So I think they'll want Robbo fully firing. So I expect Costas to come in. And I do think that Konate will keep his place. I do think that. I know some are saying Kwanzaa, but I think it'll be Konate. So that's my back five. In the middle, Gravenmack, because I don't think they're allowed a day off. It must be in their contract for the Premier League this season, despite the fact many would want to see Endo in there in this game. I get that. Jones. I think he'll start. I think you'll probably see Szoboszlai come on for him at some point. And I wouldn't even be surprised if we see both of them on PSG, but let's just level on Southampton right now. I think Jones, Szoboszlai ran his heart out, is rested. The front three, this is interesting, and maybe out of them all, the most interesting, because it was a bad game for Jota. It just didn't play to any of his strengths. He just couldn't hold it at all or make a difference, could he? I think Núñez starts this one, because at home against PSG, it's a completely different beast. So I think Darwin gets the nod for this one. Mo will be on the right. There's no way Mo Salah's going to say anything like Harvey. Mo Salah will be on the right-hand side starting this. No two ways about it. He'll be thinking about records and where he can get in that golden boot race. I was going to go back on myself, but it's going to sound crazy here a little bit. Gakpo being injured is definitive. Luis Diaz, it would not surprise me again if he's left. I think it will be Diaz, but I just wonder if Jota might get some minutes out on the left. I do wonder that. I do think, to say, it'll be Diaz, Núñez, Salah up front for this one, but I would not put anything beyond Diogo Jota in the Premier League starting this one on the left. Few comments coming in. Ballers FC, similar, though he has Quanta in as well. The only difference there. Yeah, Heliord said he will play Tsimikas, Quanta, Endo, Núñez, players that lately haven't started most matches but get a chance now. As I said, I don't disagree with that personally. I just don't think Arne Slot's going to do it. We'll have to see. And I know Heliord's saying there as well, every team in the Premier League provide a fan. It's important to not get complacent. I don't think anyone is complacent. I don't think you're seeing that the likes of Endo, Núñez, Elliott the other night, they are hungry to make a difference. And actually, I don't think it was complacency if you pick them in that regard. I think they'd be looking to come in and think, this is where I can show what I'm about. Especially Southampton at home, you're thinking, if Harvey Elliott gets a chance, he's like, yeah, we're going to pin these in. This is where I can ping it around, show the head coach what I can do. So I don't think complacency comes into it for anyone. I think maybe just smartness. But that is not me being derogatory in any way about Arne Slot. I just do not think we are going to see the rotation we want, personally. Which then comes to score and scorers. It can't be anything other than a Liverpool win, can it? Red armchair supporter there saying maybe regulars want them to gain rhythm. Yeah, I suspect it, again, depends what happens, and touch wood, ringing changes around the 60 mark, isn't it? And feeding players in with, as much as he's not going to say it, one eye on that. Liverpool win 3-0 for me, and Mo Salah to open the scoring. That is what I am going for. A Liverpool victory, 3-0, Mo Salah to open the scoring. It is a funny one this week, isn't it? That Saturday, 3 o'clock. And if you look at the way the fixtures fall, it might actually be the final 3 p.m. kickoff of this season. Because if you look at the other fixtures that have been announced or switched for April, they've all got that asterisk next to them, haven't they? The asterisk that says, better enter on Champions League and this and cups and etc. So there's a real chance this is the final Saturday, 3 o'clock of the afternoon. This is against the worst team in the Premier League. That's just a fact. A chance of being the worst Premier League team in history at home against the team at the top that is 13 points clear. Nothing is given in the Premier League. That's why it's called the greatest in the world for obvious reasons. But it's right to expect. We shouldn't be using terms like banana skin or difficulty in this one. It's right to expect a Liverpool victory. Ballers FC, their confidence saying 4-0, a Salah double, Núñez and Curtis on the score sheet as well. We will have to see what tomorrow brings, but definitely some interesting quotes there. Couple of things, as ever, as I always say to you, have a full watch, have a full listen for the press conference, because for some bizarre reason, people talk to us, oh, you misrepresent. No, I'm just talking to you or telling you exactly what Arne Slot said, word for word. If you want the tone, the nature, the delivery, that's why you should watch the press conference. And the second thing is, information is there is an embargo tonight. What that involves, what that's around, I have absolutely no idea. But about 10:30 tonight, there should be a few quotes from Arne Slot coming out. So keep an eye on those. But there we go, ladies and gents. Friday, the 7th of March, around 24 hours till Southampton visit Anfield, where hopefully, it's one of those nice routine wins, but you never know what could crop up. And that, ladies and gents, was another post-conference presser for Anfield Index.